everyone. Welcome to Website Success. I'm Chrissy Ray, and today we're going to talk about branding for your business and how it's going to set the foundation for all of your marketing assets. It's not just for your website, it's for everything. And I brought my friend Jenn Osterhouse to talk about it because she is a graphic designer with more than 25 years of experience in direct response design, publication design, and creating marketing materials. And she and I have worked together on a bunch of projects where she does the branding and then I take over and build the website, or I build the website and then she does the branding because they didn't think about doing that first. And then we revise the website after she does the branding. So, Jenn, welcome. And why don't you tell us a little bit more about yourself and your business?
Yeah, thank you for having me, Chrissy. And yes, we've worked on a lot of great projects together. So, yeah, I'm a graphic designer with over 25 years of experience. I worked in the direct mail space for many years and gained a lot of marketing knowledge through working in that space as well as designing for direct mail. I help clients to up level their marketing materials that they have. So some clients have marketing materials, some clients don't, and it doesn't matter whether you do or not, but I help them to get their marketing materials to a place where they feel good about handing them out to people or sending them to people so that they feel professional and show up as the best version of themselves that they can be.
Okay, great. And I want to start with the bare basics. I don't want to assume that listeners know anything about branding. So let's start with the absolute basics. What is a brand? What are some of the elements of a brand?
Yep. So a brand is your logo. So your logo is and I'm assuming everybody knows a logo, what a logo is. A logo is what identifies your business visually to everyone essentially. When I describe a logo, when I describe a brand, it's the logo, the fonts and the colors that you have established through designing your logo. And those are the elements that you're going to want to use in every single piece of marketing that you put out there, whether it's a website, Chrissy, that you're designing, a social media graphic, or a print piece. You just want to make sure that everything is consistent. And your branding is where that starts. That is like the foundation, that is like the ground floor of creating your marketing materials.
Okay. And when somebody's getting ready to create a brand, what are some things that they need to consider when they're creating a brand for their business?
It's funny because, like, we all have our things that we love, right? Like, we all have our colors that we love, and we all have images that we love, but they might not necessarily translate to your business, to your target audience, to what it is that you're trying to portray. I do always ask clients, if there's a color that you despise, please let me know, and we will not use that color. But also too, depending on what type of business you have, sometimes those businesses lend themselves to certain colors. Like health related businesses, blue is a great color to use. So I think things to consider are colors is the first thing. Fonts is the next thing. Typically, I try to do, and I'm going to get techie here for a minute, but serif and sans serif font. So having a combination of fonts. Something that you, Chrissy Ray, taught me was try to use Google fonts so that they are translate easily to the website as well as across the board. Thinking about imagery, like a lot of logos have some sort of an icon type image that is used with the logo. Thinking about how that logo is going to be used big and small, digital and print. These are all things that I think about when I'm designing it, but it's helpful for the client to think about those things because when they come to me with their ideas, then it's easy for us to sift through what we think is or isn't going to work. Yeah, so I feel as far as thinking about a logo and establishing your brand, those are things that you should definitely consider.
Okay. And besides a website, what are some things that you'd use your brand on?
Anything that you put out for your business from a marketing standpoint should have your brand on it. Any social media graphics that you put out, your logo doesn't have to necessarily be on every social media graphic, but the look and feel of it should be there. I do a lot of work for Leading Lady, and there's an established gold, blue, and pink color scheme that we use for everything. Leading Lady has this wonderful flamingo icon that we use for a lot of things, and it's very recognizable. that it is Leading Lady brand just with the flamingo itself. So that is something to consider. Anything print that you do, business cards, brochure, a one sheet, a sticker, a magnet, whatever it might be, anything that's swag, pens, or what have you, making sure that you've got your logo and your branding on it across the board is really important.
Yeah, I would say I have a pretty recognizable brand for Pongos. It's got the
Yes,
little
you do.
orangutan. Yeah,
Yeah, I saw your sticker
yeah,
yesterday and I
I
knew it
was
was Pongos.
yeah, I was just gonna say Jen and I went to an event last night, and the leading ladies. I'm a leading lady ambassador. We were supposed to give swag to put in the swag bags, and I had little Pongo stickers, and it's just the orangutan head, and it says pongos.com around it. Yeah, it's definitely recognizable.
And that's something to think about too, right? Having something memorable, like something that people are going to remember. If I see that I've worked with your logo, so I'm familiar with it, but if I see that orangutan, I'm going to know almost immediately that it's Pongos. Yeah.
Yes. So now, why is it important for all of your marketing materials, including your website, social media, and everything, to be consistent?
It is important to be consistent with your marketing materials, whether it's digital or print, because you want to establish that visual look and feel. It's going to build trust in your brand. You're going to be showing up professionally. You're going to be looking professional. You're going to be looking like a credible business. For me personally, and this just could be because I'm visual, like if I'm trying to decide about going with a business for something, if their branding doesn't look so great or it looks a little bit on the homemade side, I don't feel like they're as credible of a business as a business that doesn't have to be super sleek and shiny, if you will, but just a business that looks like basically they have their act together, right? So I feel like having that visual consistency, you're building trust, you're building credibility. And ultimately, if you're working with that business, you're going to be referring them to other people.
That's one of the things, like when somebody comes to me and they've built their own website, I never judge. There are many reasons why people DIY, and
Yes.
that's totally fine. If people have reasons, it could be financial, it could be they
Yep.
just want to have that control over their stuff, and no judgment at all.
Yeah.
But at the same time, when you hire somebody to do it for you, in a lot of cases, that person that you're hiring, at least the person that you should be hiring, has a lot of experience doing that, and they're going to do things a certain way for certain reasons that will elevate it and make it look a lot more professional. So with branding, especially, anybody can go in Canva and whip out a fast
Yeah.
logo, but they're not going to get the same level of professionalism as they would if they went to someone like you to help them create that.
Plus, there's a lot of decisions that I make when I'm designing something that aren't they're not questions that I've asked. They're just design decisions as I'm working on it or I'm thinking through what the client's business is and the logo that we're working on and how we need to have that translate essentially to their business. Um, and there are things that I guess as a trained designer, I just know to think about, like type for me and kerning of letters, like the space between letters. I'm so like specific about this.
Yeah.
And like in Canva, it's hard to do that with type. Like there's certain letters that have gaps between them. And I know I'm getting too technical, but my whole point is as a trained expert in what it is that you do, just like with you, there's things you just know to do that are going to, like you said, elevate the marketing piece or the brand or even like the offer. If there's an offer on a piece, like you know how to lay out the piece and set it up so that there's that visual flow.
It's important. And then when you're designing a brand for a client, so if they're not DIY and you're doing it for them, what are some of the things that you give them? Obviously, you give them their logo, but what are some of the different files and other things that you give to the clients when you design it for them?
I want to make sure once we're done with the logo, I want you to have it in as many different options as possible for digital and print use. So a JPEG or a PNG for anything digital, social media, website, whatever, email, newsletter, whatever it might be. I usually provide an Adobe Illustrator file, which is the print that's going to print really high res and nice and crisp and clean. And then also include a PDF for clients to have, but along with the logo design, I provide a style guide. And in that style guide are all the color builds for the colors that have been used. So, colors for the web, colors for print, the fonts that have been used in the logo design, and also making suggestions of how to use those fonts. There might be one font that works better for headlines and another one that works better for body copy, or one that works good on the web versus print materials. And then also the logo usage. Let's say the logo has two colors to it. Like I will provide the ways that you can use that logo in those two colors. But then I'll also provide a black and white version because sometimes you might have a need for that, as well as a reversed white version. So if you designed a blue logo and it needs to be on a blue background, you're going to have to make it white so that it shows up. And then the other thing too, some logos I design have taglines, some of them have an icon image, and those things might be used separately. So I might give a version of the logo that doesn't have the tagline and then a version that does have it, so that you have every possible combination, if you will, for your logo for the uses that you need it for.
And I know as a web developer, it's really helpful to get all of those things because, like, in the website, you need to have your logo on the page. And sometimes you need a logo, like a variation of a logo. Like, you
Yes.
need a shorter one at the top versus a taller one. And then you also need an icon, the favicon, the fave icon that
Yeah.
goes in the browser. So it's good to have all of that stuff on my end too.
Yeah. And that helps to keep everything visually consistent. It's like the Bible, right? Like the guide to your brand, essentially. So that no matter who is working on your stuff, even if you're doing it yourself, you know the fonts to use, you know the colors to use, the logo, you know how to use the logo for it to appear properly, but also continue to be consistent.
Great. Now, I know you offer a business bundle, which is a really good way for anybody to start with their marketing materials. What do you include with that? What are some of the sort of foundational elements that you think somebody needs in their marketing materials?
I feel like whether you're completely starting out new and you don't have anything, or maybe you have something that you started when you first did your business, but now you're ready to take it to the next level. In the business bundle, you get a logo design, a business card, a brochure or a one sheet, whatever, is better for your business. And then one other option. So some clients choose two social media templates. Some clients need a postcard. I had a client that needed a thank you card recently. And I feel like logo, business card, and a brochure or a one sheet to me are like the three key things to have, because obviously, you need your logo for your brand identity, and you need a business card. And I know there's debate out there about electronic business card versus print. Of course, I'm pro print. Yeah, you can have both. It's okay to have both, but a business card, obviously, so people can get a hold of you. Sometimes people put a QR code on it. Sometimes they don't. I feel like that's a little personal preference. But that brochure, the trifold brochure or the one sheet, to me, that's the piece I call it your evergreen piece. So that's a piece that's going to have a little bit about your business, maybe a little bit about you, and then information about your products and services and how the potential client can get a hold of you. So to me, those are the three like key things that are included in that bundle. And then that fourth piece is pretty unique to what your business is. So it depends on what products and services you're offering and what that fourth piece is gonna be most beneficial to you.
Yeah. So if it's a social media heavy business, then obviously
Right.
social media graphics would make sense for that.
Yes, 100%. And typically I'll just design those in Canva, the actual graphics, so then the client has the ability to go in, and if it's a testimonial, they can change the copy, or if it's something with a date promoting an event, they can go in and change that information.
Now, if somebody's already got a ton of marketing materials and they're not really sure, maybe they're not consistent, they're not really sure, they haven't really looked at it holistically, how can you help them?
I have a marketing asset planning and strategy session that I offer to clients. And in that session, we take a look at everything you have. So we look at websites, we look at social media, we look at all your print stuff, we look at logo, business card, whatever else it is that you might have. Number one, we're looking at it all to make sure it's visually consistent. And then if it's not, then it's gonna become obvious pretty quickly if you've got something that isn't jiving with everything else. That part I think is cool because sometimes you develop your marketing things almost like in their own box and you don't look at them all together. So then once we look at all of that, we establish what you have, we talk about what you need. Maybe it's updates to things you already have, maybe it's some new pieces, brainstorm new ideas. Some clients come to me with, "Oh, I've wanted to do XYZ for so long," but then we talk about, does that make sense for your business? Is that using your marketing dollars wisely? We touch on budget in that session. And then we talk about timeline. So I just had a session this morning with a client and she has an event coming up in August. And so we're going, okay, here's the deadline date. Let's work back to figure out how long it's going to take to design, how long it's going to take to print so that you've got it ready to go for your event. I've done several of these and I found it just super helpful for businesses. And it's not a one and done either. This is something you should do regularly. You don't always have to do it with me, but it is something you should do regularly in your business just to make sure you're staying on target and consistent with all of your marketing.
Okay. And are you able to do those virtually?
Yep, I can do them Zoom or in person. Yep.
Okay. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. So, yeah, thank you so much for all of your insight. And I appreciate you coming in, talking about branding. Like you said, it's so important for it to be consistent, to lend that credibility. And again, everybody needs to remember, even though this podcast is about websites, your website is just one part of a larger sort of ecosystem of marketing. You've got all of these different pieces that need to be consistent to make sure that you look credible and professional and get your target audience and your ideal customers to say, yeah, that's who I want to work with. They
Yeah.
look legit.
100%.
Yes. Now, if any of my listeners would like to talk with you about your strategy day or your business bundle, how can they get in touch with you?
I have a link that you'll put in the show notes that goes to a Calendly calendar. That's for a discovery call to do a 30-minute call or to sign up for the marketing session. In the discovery call, we can talk about if a business bundle is something that you're interested in or you think is good for you. And yeah, so you'll have the link, and then of course I have a web address or email. So any of those ways are ways to reach out to me. I would love to connect with anybody who's interested in marketing and design and branding for their business.
Okay. And your website's jenniferosterhouse.com.
Or Jen.
Jen, okay, yeah.
Yeah, Jenn
That's right.
Osterhouse.com. Yep.
Yes. And guess who made her website?
I know. It's a really long name, so I think Jen is good.
Yeah, Jenn Osterhouse. Didn't you also register Jennifer Osterhouse Design or something like that?
I registered like 10 different things, I think. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
been there.
yes, Chrissy did my website and she did an amazing job. So I know your audience already knows you're amazing, but you are amazing.
Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, and I just have to, this just popped into my head, the long names. So I've had pongos.com. I registered that, I don't know, 20 something years ago. But more than, 25 years. I don't even know. It's been forever. I think it was like, it might have been 2000. I just the other day registered pongosinteractive.com.
Oh my God.
I didn't own it. I never registered it.
That's funny.
Yeah. I always tell my clients, like Jen, register like as many variations as you think people will use. And I didn't listen to my own advice. I never registered pongosinteractive.com. Like,
That's funny.
yeah, I don't take my own advice. So,
Yeah.
So, Jen, again, thank you so much for being on here. I really appreciate it. And everybody, thank you for listening. If you found this helpful, I hope you did. Make sure you subscribe, come back, listen to the next episode. I try to bring in guests that are not necessarily talking about websites, because websites are part of making your business successful, but just marketing in general. And Jen is sort of a hybrid because she does do both the digital and the print. So she's able to talk a little bit about both. So again, thank you, Jen. Thank you, everybody, for listening. And I will see you all in the next episode, or you'll hear me in the next episode.
Yes.
Thanks again. Have a great day.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye.